Hello there, and welcome to Play the Game with Steve. In today's episode of Beyond the Precon, we're going to talk about James Rode, the War Machine. We're going to talk about his signature cards, the synergies, little rules, clarities, and we're going to also take a look at his pre-constructed deck and how we can improve that. And finally, we're going to take a look at some of the hero packs that are going to take War Machine to the next level. All this and more on this episode of Beyond the Precon, War Machine. Alright, so Mr. James Rhodes is a shield soldier with a hand size of 6 and 10 hit points. He has a recovery of 3, and he has an action that he can do only in Alter Ego, obviously. It's choose a War Machine card in your discard pile and shuffle it into your deck. You know, you think they could have given that thing a name, you know, like Genius or armed and ready or always prepared, so just something. So that, I think, for me was a little bit of a lackluster. He could have had a cool ability, And then also there's a little errata on there that needs to be pointed out. It doesn't say once per round or phase, but the intent was you can only do that one time, or else that would be broken. Just cycle all your War Machine cards, and if you are a stickler to the rules, it doesn't say, so you can do whatever you want. So, and then he has a force response. After you change to this form, you discard each ammo counter from your identity. Now, how do I get ammo counters? Well, let's take a look at the War Machine. So War Machine has a 1 thwart, 2 attack, and 2 defense. He is an Avenger soldier with a hand size of 5 and has an ability called, or a response called Locked and Loaded. And after you change to this form, place 5 ammo counters on War Machine. So what's cool about him and what I like and enjoy is he's got a bunch of bullets and he just wants to shoot them off. When he runs out of bullets, he wants to go down to Alter Ego and recharge. All right, so that's one of the things that with War Machine you got to kind of remember is you want to be able to, use those ammos as much as you can, flip down, and then just control, the villain and deal damage and stuff like that. But one thing you really got to be careful is, can I flip down? Because what happens if you're not careful, you run out of bullets, and if you run out of bullets, well, War Machine's experience is going to be a lot less energetic. All right, let's take a look at his signature cards and how those synergies work together. All right, let's take a look at some of his really cool upgrades, his guns. The first one is the missile launcher, and this one says you can exhaust the missile launcher and remove an ammo counter from War Machine to deal 2 damage to an enemy, and this attack gains range. So that's pretty cool. It's every ammo is now 2 damage. Awesome sauce. Then he has a shoulder cannon, and that is the money gun. So this one says it's a hero action attack. Exhaust the shoulder cannon to deal 1 damage to an enemy. So you get a free shot every time. And then you may remove an ammo counter from War Machine to ready the shoulder cannon. Now this is very important. If the enemy has retaliate, for some reason your gun does not have ranged. So you're shooting a Gatling gun from up close, because the villain will retaliate every point of damage. So that's, for me, is a little bit of a design mess, but whatever. I think if it had range, it would just be too powerful. And then, so I think giving it not giving it ranged was a way to not make this card uber powerful. So I understand the designer sometimes. All right, then he has something called an upgraded chassis. And this is an armor, so it's not a gun, but it's his armor. And he gains the aerial trait, so now he can fly. And he has a hero response. After you change to hero form, you exhaust the upgraded chassis, and you give him a tough status card. Now that is very useful. Because he has a hand size of 10, you kind of want to be tough most of the time. Now also, which is interesting with War Machine, is because you want to be flipping down. This just reinforces that whole idea of you want to flip up and down when you run out of ammo. All right, now speaking of ammo, he's got 2 gauntlet guns. Now these are his resource generators They cost 2, and they say exhaust the gauntlet gun to generate a wild resource for a War Machine event and place 1 ammo counter on War Machine. Now this is pretty interesting. So if ever you run out of ammo and you have these gauntlet guns, these generate ammo. So that is very cool. So it allows you to stay in hero form longer. Now here's a little trick from the pro. What you can do is you can actually overpay for events. So let's say you have an event that costs 1, and we know there's a few, and you want to generate ammos. You can overpay using both of these, and you will be generating 2 ammo counters. But again, this only works for the War Machine events. You can't decide to play, let's say, an ally and get an ammo counter. That doesn't work. All right? Or so I've been told. Hopefully, I'm right about this, but I'm 99.9% sure you can use Gauntlet Gun to pay for allies and stuff. All right? Because it says generate for a War Machine event. So there you go. So I kind of sticker for those. So these are very, very useful and practical for all these really fun things. Now, he has a cool alter ego card called the Munitions Bunker. And it says exhaust the Munitions Bunker to place 2 ammo counters here. Hero action, you can exhaust the Munitions Bunker and move each ammo counter here from War Machine. Now, which is very important, you can only place ammo here when you are an alter ego. So if you get that turn 1, you can start building. The other thing, since it's exhausted, when you flip the hero form, you don't get to put them right away on your hero. So you have to wait a complete turn, and at the beginning of next turn, then you can move them around. So there's a big strategy where you can just kind of just use this and fill it up with ammo, and then when you are close to the end of the game, just dump 15 ammos on War Machine and just go ham crazy with your Gatling gun there. What is it called? A shoulder cannon. There you go. So very fun. All right, then let's take a look at some of his events. So he's got 2 thwart events, which are the targeted strikes. So you can remove an ammo counter to remove 3 threat from a scheme, which is pretty decent. 1 for 3. Not bad. Again, you can generate extra resources, extra ammo counters. This is one of them. So not bad. Then he's got his repulsor beams, which is 1 for 4 damage, which is another great ratio, especially if you're playing it for free with a Gatling gun. So you're not even using up your ammos for this. So that is very, very fun. 1 for 4 damage, very powerful. Then he's got his alpha, well, I call it the Alpha Strike, which is the full auto, but this it removes 4 ammo counters from War Machine, so then you would only have 1 left, and deal 8 damage to an enemy, and that attack gains overkill, so that is pretty powerful. So 8 damage for 2 with overkill, but it does chew up most of your ammo. If you have the 2 gauntlet guns, at least it's only using up 2, but that's 1. And this is by far, I think, my favorite multiplayer one. It is called the Scorched Earth. And this removes 3 ammo counters from War Machine and deal 3 damage to each enemy in play. Do you remember She-Hulk had the Ground Stomp, which did 1 damage to everything? So this is Ground Stomp, times 3. It's super powerful. It just cleans house, especially if you're playing a scenario with lots of little health minions, goblins, drones. So there's a lot of minions. 80% of the minions have 3 health or less. So, bam. That just cleans house. So, very, very cool. And then finally, he's got his signature ally in the Iron Man. So, if you are playing with Iron Man, you will not be able, you can only use this card as a resource, which is kind of funny because normally all the heroes that actually have an existing playable character are wild, and they've made him a physical. So, that was just an interesting observation here. So he's a 2 thwart, 2 attack, and in response, he lets you look for a tech upgrade from your from your deck or discard pile. So very, very fun. So if you couldn't pay for something early and you had to discard it, well, that's a good time to go get your shoulder cannon or your missile launcher or whatever you need at the time. So very cool. All right, so that is his signature kit. Obviously, plays a lot off the ammos. Iron Man is a super solid ally that you can keep recurring to build faster, which I love. Now let's go take a look at his pre-constructed deck. and how we can switch it up to make it more efficient. All right, War Machine's Precon deck comes with 5 reprints only, which is great. 2 make the calls and the 3 double resources. And then it came with a bunch of slew new leadership cards. The whole point of this strategy that was introduced here was kind of like kamikaze allies, where you would be able to cheat in allies and have a big impact and then be able to do something else. So to facilitate the strategy, we got the card called Sneak Attack that choose an ally in your hand that shares a trait, so an Avenger or a Soldier, and then you put it in your hand, and at the end of that phase, if he's still in play, you discard it. And then you gave you cards like Go Down Swimming, which you can discard an ally you control to deal damage equal to its printed cost. Save the Day, which you discard the same thing, an ally, and remove threat equal to the cost. You got Command Team, which allows you to use those allies twice. Like it's basically Get Ready, but on a stick, so it gives you 3 instances of that. Then you got some really cool, powerful allies. Black Panther, that allows you to recur an event. Goliath, from your discard pile and attach it to him, so that you can use one of those like Go Down Swingings or Save the Day, so you can fetch that back, use him, cheat him in. Very cool. You got Goliath, who's super powerful. He gets +4 attack, so you can sneak him in, attack for 5 and do twice and do 10 damage. He actually is a reprint from the Ant-Man deck, I believe. Or no, Rise of Red Skull, Hawkeye's deck. And then Falcon, that was first introduced in Captain America's deck. So he comes in and can remove threat and gives you some knowledge on the top 3 cards. Captain Marvel. So this is the second time she's printed as an ally. So one was in Spider-Woman's deck. The second one is just the signature ally that says when she enters play, you discard the top 4 cards of your deck. And if you discard a lightning resource, you deal 3 damage to an enemy. And if you discard more than 1, you can stun that enemy as well. So that's kind of cool if you kind of build with a lot of lightning. Then we got Innovation, that was also reprinted from the Mad Titan Shadow. And I did forget, Mockingbird is also a reprint, so we got 6 reprints. And then we got a Queen Carrier that we saw in Black. So this is the 3rd printing of Queen Carrier. So the first one was Black Widow, then Wasp, and now with War Machine. And then we have a team-up card with Iron Man that says you can search your deck for a tech upgrade and put it into play, shuffle your deck, ready Iron Man and War Machine. So this one's pretty fun if you're playing solo, but in a multiplayer game, that is often just not super efficient because it's always having to do with the timing. So very cool strategy. The Kamikaze Ally, it's kind of weird with him because, you know, you kind of want to keep your allies to block since he has low health. But if you're going in for damage, this strategy is very, very fun. It allows you to kind of rush the villains in leadership, which is very contrary to what leadership normally wants to do. So it's a new way to play, so very, very fun and exciting. Now let's take a look at how we can increase the efficiency of this pre-constructed deck. Keeping to the intent of what the designers want to do, I only have 4 cards that I would switch up for this deck. Now, the first ones I would get rid of is Save the Day. There is so many 2 thwarting allies that you don't really need all 3. I would leave 1 in the deck because it's not that bad. Then I would also remove a Go Down Swinging. So it's a very good card, but I don't think you need all 4 of them. And finally, the last card I would remove is the Innovation. So those are the 4 cards I remove. What would I add? I would add a Nick Fury because, again, you can play him with the sneak attack while you are in Alter Ego, which is kind of where you want to go with James half the time. So you do want to play into that. Then I would also add Vision to be kind of like the same effect as Goliath. Because we have the Queen Carrier, we can use that lightning to give him that +2 boost so he can attack for 4 and again for 8 in the same turn. So that makes a lot of sense. And then finally, if you don't want to lean too much into this sneak attack and don't want to be too reliant on those, just 2 powers of leadership. So again, very simple suggestions to upgrade the deck. And then still lean into the go down swingings and the save the day. Now, for me, I think I would even remove the save the day and just keep all 3 go down swingings. That would be my suggestion. I know some people like to play with the new cards, but save the day, I think it's super cool, but I think these are just the least efficient cards, especially if you're playing in solo. And multiplayer, then it can be a lot more, it makes a lot more sense, because removing 4 or 5 threat in one shot for one makes a lot more sense in multiplayer. But in solo, that's what it is. All right, now let's go take a look at some of the hero packs that I believe are going to enhance your game to the next level. All right, now looking at the hero packs that are going to truly enhance his gameplay experience. Although he came in leadership, I really find that Justice really gives you the maximum potential for what War Machine can do. Go up fast, come in, deal tons of damage, flip down, and Justice is what you need to really tempo him. So these are the recommendations based off of this, and again, most of them are because of the Justice trait. Because you want to flip down, there's 2 first spots for me, and it was hard to decide which one is the best, but I really think Black Widow, just again, like I think we just saw that with Nebula, where I recommended Nebula, and I'm like, for Black Widow, because these are characters that want to flip down, and Black Widow offered the best cards for control with the counterintelligence, with the spycraft, and then the Agent Coulson and Quake, and then the target acquired and espionage, all cards that you want to get out of your deck that can trigger all these super cool cards. So again, I think Black Widow just heads the curve for me. And it tied to first place. Maybe this is slowly second. It is the Sinister Motives box with Miles Morales, because of cards like Homeland Intervention that allows you to remove threat, even an alter ego, by exhausting your identity. So up to 3 shield cards, that's super fun. You can use Global Logistics, again, exhausting your identity, know if it's safe to stay down 1 turn, very cool. And then cards like Monica Chang and then Agent 13 that can ready your munitions bunker so you can double up on those counters really fast. And then like super powerful allies like Dum Dum Dugan. So this was the second, my first 0.5, 1.5. The other one, again, is going to be pretty obvious. They kind of attain the same rules. So Venom's hero pack, because it gives you access to the sonic rifle, which is a tech weapon which you're allowed to go look for with Iron Man, his ally, and then you can sneak it in or cheat them in with the 2 Against the World card. So that's really fun interactions there, again, in Justice. You can do the same thing in Aggression with the hand cannons, but I think this is just better. And then you have Fusillade, so you can actually exhaust those weapons, not just to remove threat, but you can use them to deal damage. And then obviously like the other cards like Crew Quarters and Side Holster. And then there's one honorable mention, and that is the Thor hero pack. It gives us 2 really sweet cards. One is a bonus card called the Under Surveillance event, still helping you keep control of the main scheme while building up fast in Alter Ego. And then finally the Mean Swing, so if you ever run out of guns, you can still exhaust those guns to deal some massive damage. So there you go. So War Machine, very fun character to play. Very different to Iron Man, not as much equipment, but a lot of powerful weapons, a lot of ways to deal lots of damage. And there's nothing more satisfying than just emptying a Gatling gun and just taking out a villain in 1 shot. That's, I think, one of the most satisfying things you can do in this game. So that's it on this for this episode of Beyond the Precon. It wraps it up. So don't forget, if you guys like these series, please thumbs up. As always, leave some comments. Subscribe if you haven't done so. It's going to help the channel and grow even more and allow me to do more of these awesome videos that you enjoy. So guys, keep remembering, just have some fun, and remember to play the game. I'll see you next week. Ciao, ciao.